Hey, welcome back, modelers. Today, I've got something cool to show you. I'm going to go through the process of wiring a model for lights. So it's actually a very, very easy process, and you can get it done for like 12 bucks, 15 bucks. Not a whole lot. I'd probably spend more on tools if you don't already have some of the tools than the actual materials. They're pretty cheap. So I've got a Star Destroyer here from Bandai. Now this one actually comes with, if you can find it, a lighting pack. And you can go through this process with it. Now, the thing with it is it's a little tricky to find, and these can set you back. I've seen up to like $60 on eBay. They're pretty expensive. So, we're going to just do it on the cheap. There's a few other things that you can do with this too, is you get to customize as much as you want. You can also add some other lights. You could kind of spruce it up even more and go into some lighting controls to where it's like flashing lights and things like that. We're going to keep it simple and just have solid lights for this build. So we've got our test bed here, our spacecraft, where it's already built, ready to go. And then when it comes to materials, I've got just this battery pack with an on-off switch built in. I think I got a dozen of these for just a couple bucks or something. They're pretty cheap. So you can get some of those. And then the lights. So I've got just this 50-piece pre-wired LED. So this one has the resistors built into it, so you don't have to do anything, you don't have to calculate. It just takes in the voltage range of anything from 9 to 12 volts, and you're pretty much ready to go. Pretty easy stuff. I think this was like 10 bucks or something for 50. Not a whole lot. And these ones are a little bit better than some of the ones I've used before, because they're pretty small. So that makes the process a little bit easier to have that all wired in. And then, of course, this is going to be our battery source, 2 of these 2032 batteries. And so we'll run through this. It's a little bit low on the voltage, so we'll do a few mock tests and stuff. I might have to go with a little bit of a different battery pack, and so we'll see how that works. I've got some other stuff, but I'm going to try this and see if this will work for something smaller, rather than what I normally do is like AA's or a 9-volt battery. So that's what's going to be a little bit different with it. Now, 12 LEDs are going to go into this beast, and the process with it is pretty simple. The way we don't want to do it is kind of in series, like so, where you have the positive, negative, and you kind of have this long chain happening. What that's going to do is reduce, resist, and down. So, very easy. Match all the colors, like so. And we're going to eventually just wire it together to where we have all the whites together, and then all the black wires together. And then, same thing. This would be our positive for the blue for the engine, so we'll have them all together and then eventually just put them all together there. I'm going to have soldering and heat sinks and everything to just kind of make it all nice and pretty inside there, and go from there. So first step is to glue these in place. And then we don't need a crazy long wire, so we're also going to be doing a little bit of cleanup with wires. So that's that. So let's get started. So with these smaller ones, I can practically just put them in place, and it's held pretty well. Some of these, you might have to do some CA glue and do something like that to kind of hold in place, but these pretty easy. I think the tower command structure, I don't know, whatever you call the superstructure here, island, I don't know. That we're probably going to have to do a little bit of, for this piece, we're probably going to have to do a little bit of chopping up to make sure that everything goes in as it should and fit in place. So we'll take a look at that here. But let's put these in there. Make sure that you don't put too much force so you don't break it. But the Bandite kit makes this process pretty easy. Okay, so there's the front and back. Look at some of these for the blue. And with this kit, it's a really good way to get started in it because everything is laid out and it'll demonstrate how everything should go. When you're doing something that isn't purposefully lit, like I've done on my CRJ 700, or is it a 9? 700. With that, I kind of had to do a little bit of research to figure out where lights should exist, and that becomes a little bit tricky. Okay, this one I might have to do a little bit of bending. Just gotta be a little careful because we want that element to get right up. So with that, I am going to need to get to some super glue. Alright, so this part is a little tricky. Like I said, I think I've got that set, but it needs to fit in that hole. So do a little check. Okay, so that becomes important that that fits on and make sure it fits. It should kind of click into place. There we go. So that needs to make sure that that fits all well, because to replace the batteries and do the on-off switch, you got to take this into here because we're going to have battery located right in there. And so normally you have that big old battery pack. We're going to have just this little itty bitty guy. Now for the fun part, putting all the wires together. First I'm going to strip the wires so I've got a little bit more to work with than just this little bit, and go from there. Alright, for this next step, we will need a special tool. We'll need a soldering iron. So what you've noticed is I've got this already set up where I've got the a bit of heat sink kind of on these to kind of keep them together. That'll help a little bit with the process. And then we're just going to paint on some solder. Do that there. And then for the other side, and I'm going to get all sorts of stuff in the chat about my soldering techniques, but whatever, it works. Probably get a few comments from my father-in-law, actually, but Okay, so I think this one's plenty good. All right. So I got this sub-assembly kind of done. I'm going to make another sub-assembly with all this and then put them all together. All right, so as you can see, kind of made the left side sub-assembly, right side, and then I put them together. So we're just putting all of the positives, all of the negatives together, and then solder. All right, so as you can see, I added a little bit of a tail here to both the positive and the negative. We'll be using that in a sec. And to help it, I'm going to do some more heat shrink stuff. That there, and then I just use a flame. Okay. Okay, before I get too far ahead, got to do some testing. I got my battery pack, turn it on, and just touch the leads. Just check all the lights. And they all work. Cool. We can continue. So now I'm going to then solder these pieces together like so. And then these. And then it'll be the battery pack. Give that a little more. Okay, so there's those ready. Let's see. Everything still works. Okay, that is success. So, to finish it off. Okay, I forgot. So make sure you got your heat sinks ready to go. Just can't really fit them on over all that. Okay, moment of truth. Voila! Okay, so that's gonna work. So I gotta just make sure you stay intact. Alright, so there's that. Now let me put this bad boy together. Make sure it all fits. Okay, here we are. So I changed out, I don't know, I think the 9-volt might be a little bit brighter, and so I changed out to there. But you got the engine lights. Got a few lights bits there. A few things I might have to fix a little bit with some of the seams and all that. Not perfect. But pretty dang cool. One other thing I might do for this person, I might put a hole in the bottom so they can get to the switch so they don't have to take it apart every time they want to turn it on and off. But otherwise, I think it's ready to go. So I'll be, of course, painting it and doing all the weathering and fun stuff. But when it comes to the lights, there you go. So, really cheap, effective way of improving your models. So let me know what you guys think in the chat, and if there's anything that you want me to do on my next video, let me know. Till next time.